nationwide and what's going on in the state. If you have a Twitter account, go to that, please. I'll give you just a moment to do so. Our Twitter account is at MSBail Agents. MSBAIL Agents. Please follow us at MSBail Agents so that, again, you can be made aware of what all is going on. And we have a civic awareness committee that works tirelessly on advising you of what's going on, not only in the state, but nationwide. So please do that. Also, I'd like to recognize, well, again, we've got a great lineup of speakers, and you will be made aware and asked to welcome those speakers. But we have a few people here that are guests that realize what's going on with the bail reform movement and are here in support of us bail agents. And I'd like to recognize Senator Sally Doty, who came to dinner with us last night and is here again today. Thank you for being here this morning. Also, Judge Melvin Ray made it here. Thank you, Judge. Jennifer Riggs is with PBUS, and she is the Deep South Director. She's here with us today. Thank you, Jennifer, for traveling over from Georgia. And also Sandra Owen, who's Justice Court Clerk. She is the President of the Justice Court Clerks Association. So thank you for coming to dinner with us last night and being here today. Who couldn't make it today was Senator Joel Carter and Representative Patricia Willis that had dinner with us last night and again are aware of our plight and are supportive of the Bail Association. So at this point, I'd like to ask Sherry to come forward and Wayne to come forward and introduce our first speaker.
Good morning. Today we're honored to have District Attorney Joel Smith to give us our welcoming speech. Joel is currently serving his second term as District Attorney for Hancock, Stone, and Harrison County. His ABA is personally responsible for the prosecution and trial of violent crimes, crimes against children, and cases involving the sale of illegal narcotics. He is past president of the Mississippi Prosecutors Association, served as president of the Leadership Gulf Coast Board of Trustees, and is a former member of the Board of Directors of the Gulf Coast Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Joel Smith.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for having me here today. It's my honor to be with you today, and it's also my honor to serve, as Wayne told you, as the DA for Harrison, Hancock, and Stone County. And I really mean that when I say it's an honor to do that, not just to serve our community and to serve the public as an elected official, but most importantly for me, to be able to serve in the role as a DA. I grew up wanting to be a prosecutor. I grew up in a family of lawyers, but I didn't grow up wanting to be a lawyer. We knew every lawyer joke in the world, and I grew up knowing that I wanted to be able to serve in the criminal justice system. Because like many of you in this room today, the criminal justice system allows me and my office the opportunity to serve the public and to impact the lives of people who live in neighborhoods and communities all around us. And I know that that's part of what draws you to the business that you chose as well, is to be able to touch the lives of the people in your community through the criminal justice system. Because I do believe that our system of justice, although it does have its flaws, is still the greatest justice system in the world today. Our justice system has two defining principles. One is to protect victims of crime, protect victims from those who committed crimes against them as they travel through the court system. And then equally importantly, it's also designed to protect those who are charged with a crime and to protect their constitutional rights as they travel through the court system and get their day in court. I want to emphasize to you today how important I believe that your role is in that system because of many factors that you play. One of which is the speedy trial rights, a speedy trial right that's so important not just to those charged with a crime, but to taxpayers, and from my perspective, most importantly, to victims of crime. A lot of times, victims of crime get lost in the speedy trial discussion, but it's so important, especially when you look at victims of crime and how they can be affected by delays in their case, how they can be affected when a case drags on, specifically children, when they are victimized of cases. And so that is especially important to me when I look at the role that you play in this system and how appreciative we are of the job that you do. It's also important because of the ability that it allows us to have for planning and preparation of a court case. In a district like ours, where we have over 4,000 felony cases every year, to be able to plan for a specific day, to know that justice will be served on a certain day is important to those accused and also to victims of crime. Also, it's important because your role helps us to safeguard the rights of victims. As they go through that process, for them to know that their safety is protected, that their dignity is also protected, and that they are respected during their interaction with our court system is extremely important. And I thank you for that job that you do. Lastly, I want to thank you for coming to the Mississippi coast, and I want to welcome you here as you start day 2. I hope that while you're here that you'll be able to relax some as you get away from work for just a little while, that you'll be able to enjoy some good food down here, and maybe just drop a few dollars in our slot machines to help pay for our education system as well. But while you're here, I also want to extend an invite to you to let you know that my office has an open door to you. That anything that we can do for you at the DA's office, either here in Biloxi or in Gulfport, don't hesitate to stop by or give us a call. That door will be open to you during your time. Thank you for having me here today. God bless you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
I ask Robert Dozier to come forward and introduce our next guest speaker.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce a good friend of mine, Commissioner of Insurance, Mike Chaney. Commissioner Chaney, a Tupelo native and longtime resident of Vicksburg, where he's been living there for several years, father of 3, grandfather of 8. I do believe. Prior to taking office in January 2008, Commissioner Chaney served 7 years in the Mississippi House of Representatives. And then he served 8 years in the Mississippi Senate, where he was the first Republican to serve as the education chair. Commissioner Chaney also served as a key member of the Senate Insurance Committee. He is a graduate of Mississippi State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business and Finance, and is a veteran of the United States Army, serving in the Vietnam War from 1968 to 1969. Commissioner Chaney, I'd like to personally thank you for your service to this country in that time. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Commissioner of Insurance, Mike Chaney.
I think that introduction may be longer than our speech is going to be because I don't really have a lot to tell you today. Most of you know that last year we removed the repealer in this last legislative session on the bail bond registry. The registry seems to work fairly well for us. It goes along with some of the things that some of the legislative groups have tried to do. I think ALEC has a plan very similar to what we've done that they're going to look at. And this is what you want to hear out of me, I think. I have no plans whatsoever to introduce any legislation this next session. So I hope, if you got something, let me know in advance. I told Al, I said, Al, we're not going to have any legislation. We're happy. Leave us alone. So that's what we hope we'll do. Now, let me select, I'm a a regulator. Some days in the week, some people like me. Tomorrow, they don't like me. That's just part of the life that you have as a regulator. And you do things sometimes that make your friends unhappy, and do things sometimes that make your friends happy. But that's part of our life as a regulator. We're nonpartisan in what we do, and we have a lot of hats that we have to wear in this industry. I gave Sheila a couple of little things. This is kind of what I call a sheet about what we actually do at the Department of Insurance. But this is a pretty good sheet of information. I've put a few of them out. And let me give you an idea. We have over 100,000 licenses that we issue every year. That's in addition to what we do for bail agents. We kept a list on the registry, which we began in October of 17. And if you go to our website, you can look at the bail registry, and it's on this little sheet of paper. But let me give you a quick idea. Over $500 million of outstanding bonds in the state. A little over $14 million, almost $15 million are outstanding liability from inactive agents. We've got about $85 million in personal surety, and $79 million of limited surety total outstanding liabilities. And you pretty well divided evenly between 96 and 94, 98 and 94. I think we're down to 98, not 99, on personal surety and what we call limited surety. So it's pretty well divided in the state. This is good information for you. And very few states have this much information. NEIC, which is the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, have a lot of commissioners that do the same thing that I do. They have to regulate bail agents, and the courts actually, and Virginia called us and said they want to look at our registry and how it works. It's an idea that helps the sheriffs out and most of the law enforcement agencies, and I think in the long run it really helps you out too to know what you're doing in your business. And we've been able to keep the information that you submit confidential so no one can pick out who's doing what. Outside of that, it's a pleasure to serve you as your insurance commissioner. I truly enjoy my job. People have asked me, what are you going to do next year? And I said, well, I'm planning on running if my health holds out and my pocketbook holds out and my wife doesn't kill me. Now, I've been married 52 years, so I don't think she might want to get rid of me in the morning. I may have to bail me out of jail if you're not careful. But if there's anything that we can do to help you, feel free to call us. We're there to help you. I know it's not appropriate sometimes to take questions, but if you've got questions out of the audience, ask me. I'll be happy to try to answer some of the questions that you may have. Any questions? Anybody want to ask me anything? This is an opportunity. There's a couple of things I should mention. There have been some changes at the department. Brandon Jones has left the department and retired. So many of you might remember Brandon. Gene, I know you do. And Kim Causey is our lead attorney at the department from the AG's office, and we have actually assigned the bail agents most of their regulatory issues over to Michelle Partridge in our office, who also works for the Attorney General's office, and she's just assigned us. So if you have issues, call Michelle or Kim. Mark and I don't keep up with that unless it's absolutely necessary. So outside of that, I'm glad to be here. I told you it'd be a short speech. I appreciate what y'all do. Wayne, I appreciate your introduction a while ago of our good regulators here and judges on the Gulf Coast. Yes, Chief.
Commissioner, I'm going to ask you a question. They got anything to do with bail bonds, but it's something you addressed the other day at one of the insurance meetings I was at. You was talking about the insurance down here on the coast, and I know there's a lot of people from the coast here.
Sure.
Would you repeat what you said at that? If you know, I know it involved coastal insurance, coastal American.
Well, when I leave here, I'm actually going to the Gulfport Businessmen's Club to speak to them, and then I'm going over to Billy Hughes' office, and we have a Class 2. This is kind of important to you. A Class 2 fire station or fire rating for the city of Gulfport. Let me give you an idea of what we're talking about. If you're a Class 5, which most cities are in the state of Mississippi, you live in a $100,000 house, you're going to pay about $600 a year for your insurance. You move out into the county, you become a Class 8. That's where you have the rural fire trucks and volunteer departments. You're going to go to $1,200. Your rates are going to double. And if you move out in the Podunk Hollow, as I call it, up in Jackson County, you may become a Class 10. If you're a Class 10, your rates will double again to $2,400. Now, Sheila Staggs lives up at Eagle Lake. And for a long time, people paid $2,400 for a home up there. We've got a great department up there, so the rates are back down to around $1,200. You see what a rural fire truck program does for you. Now, that applies throughout the state. We got $4.5 million out of the wind pool last year. It was a little controversial, but I helped write the wind pool bill, so I understood the wind pool bill. Why is this important to you? We haven't funded the rural fire truck program for 6 out of 10 years in the legislature, and when you do that, you run the risk of rates going back up and homes burning down and people risking their lives. And it's hard to get volunteers, by the way. It's hard to train them. And I run the State Fire Academy. We train about 17,000 people a year through that academy. So it's important to understand that fire ratings and the monies that we get from the wind pool, and that's just happened where we got the money this year, help reduce your rates or your insurance. Now, how does that apply to the Gulf Coast? The Gulf Coast has not had a rate increase on property and casualty. You may have some increases on the value of your home in the last 5 years since we did the Clarity Act. The rates on the coast are very stable. We have something that's called a loss ratio. That means if you take $1 in over here, what you lose over here is called a loss ratio. If it gets above 65 or 70%, you probably have a rate increase. Everything on the Gulf Coast is below 30. It's like a copy machine. There are many money on the Gulf Coast in the insurance business, on property casualty. It's a very competitive market. We had 6 people writing insurance right after Katrina. When I took over as insurance commissioner in 2008, January 1, we had 6 companies that were writing insurance on the Gulf Coast. Today we've got 32. Some of them are what we call surplus lines. It's a competitive market. And when you get competitive, you have people that do things you shouldn't do. But I just shut an AC down in Ocean Springs this week, and unfortunately, that's part of what we have to do. That's where I was last night, actually, and with some of my staff over there. But the Gulf Coast is extremely profitable for the insurance companies. It's very competitive, and we're able to reduce the wind pool. The wind pool used to have 44,000 members in the wind pool. We're down to 22,000. We used to have $7.8 billion in coverage. We're down to right under $4 billion, about $3.9 billion. This year, we had some regulatory authority that was granted to us by the legislature to regulate the wind pool, and most of it dealt with reinsurance, which is a very complicated issue, where you lay off a lot of your risk. So we had a 1 to 4. In other words, we had $1 billion of reinsurance for $3.9 billion in coverage, which is unheard of, and $250 million in money. So I made them take $100 million of the first loss, and we saved $14.8 million. That's a lot of money, folks, this year just on reinsurance purchase without any risk transfer. So that's a good deal, and it doesn't hurt the consumer. And why is it important to you? Because if you do not watch where you spend your dollar, you spend all of your premium dollar for reinsurance, it's a cost driver or a rate increase. And without doing what I did, the rate increase request from the board was going to be around a 14% increase. And I said, you're not getting 1 penny. Not when everybody else on the coast is spending money, have loss ratios under 30%, you will not get a rate increase. And I said, I can fix this, so that's why we had the legislation. It's a complicated issue, but we've got some smart people that work for us, and it affects everybody in this room, because if you have a hurricane or a catastrophic event, the way the statute is now written, they're going to tax everyone, everyone that has an insurance policy, no matter what type it is, unless it's a workers' comp or self-insured, you're going to pay into that catastrophic loss. And I'm probably going to change that, try to change it to legislative action this next year. If I don't do it this year, it'll be 4 years before we can change it again. But we think that the first 200 to 250 million of loss outside of what you got on reinsurance, in other words, you get 700 million in reinsurance and 200 million in the wind pool that you could spend, any loss above that amount would have to be covered by insurance companies at least for the first $250 million, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the ability to charge the consumers or the policyholders if there's a catastrophic loss. And that's what every state in the union does it too, and we happen to be one of the 2. So there are a lot of changes there that will happen on the Gulf Coast. The economy on the Gulf Coast is very, very strong. You can go down and look from Gulfport 49 east, the economy is good. You go 49 west towards New Orleans, it's not that great simply because we've had to enforce building codes, and it just hadn't been covered from Long Beach over towards Bay St. Louis. If you don't believe me, just drive the coast. You'll see a lot of big homes that are up at least at 23 feet. And a lot of that's due to building codes. I have to enforce building codes. That's not, you're talking about something that's unpopular, but when we've done that, what's happened is we don't have a lot of homes that are built in the floodway. We have stronger homes that are built, and we actually have cheaper insurance rates because of the enforcement of codes. So it's a win-win for everybody. One of the issues that we're facing on the national level, and if Sally Doty were in Congress, I think she would address this for us. Flood insurance, it's not renewed, and I get on Palazzo all the time, and I like him. He's a good congressman. But there's no reason that we cannot renew the flood program at least for 5 years and let private flood insurance be sold in lieu of the national flood insurance program. Gene, I'm getting way off the rabbit trail there, but that's a big issue. Now, let me tell you how big it is. In Tampa, Florida, they have 220,000 policyholders in 2 counties with flood insurance from the national government, federal government. They will lose 44,000 sales. That's what they're projected to lose in the month of July that we're in right now because there's no flood insurance. You cannot sell a house, you cannot finance it without flood insurance if it's in a flood zone. As a matter of fact, think about it like this. If you have a project, any economic project, if you can't insure it, you can't go to the bank and borrow money. Insurance is a lock key that makes everything go. And you need, whether I'm there as your regulator or whoever's there, you need a regulator that understands that you can't be willy-nilly about how you enforce insurance laws. You've got to do it for the economy of the state of Mississippi, for the people that live here. I talk all day about insurance. I love what I do. I think I make a difference when I get up in the morning. I touch everybody's life from the time they're conceived, not the time they're born, the time they're conceived until 6 months after they die. And that's usually how long it takes to get your burial insurance paid. All that money sometimes. And in between all of that, we're talking about health insurance, and I can talk all day about health insurance. We have mediation between UMNC and Blue Cross Blue Shield, which will affect about 150,000 people in Jackson. And as we started mediation yesterday, we don't talk about anything that goes on. And I will say there's no press in here. One of the lawyers in the group broke confidentiality, and we're about to swear one. You cannot talk in mediation. It's a lockdown. Nobody talks. And it's a mess. It's a mess. And health insurance is a mess in this country. But how many of you in here have health? I should say, how many of you do not have health insurance? If you don't have it, you need it. And my part of my job as commissioner is to try to find a cheaper alternative for you outside of the ACA, or Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare, and to try to find you at least some way to buy an individual policy. Aetna, MBAA, Aetna with an A, not the E, canceled all their policies at the end of December of this year with AARP, and they withdrew from the market, which means that that's legal for them to do that. You can't cancel a policy mid-term. But that leaves us with only 2 companies in the state of Mississippi that will write an individual policy outside of the ACA, and that's Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare. Now, folks, you don't think that's a burden when you've got 450,000 uninsured people in this state? And anything you do, somebody's going to criticize you, because if you're trying to help folks that need insurance, they call you a liberal. If you say I'm not going to do anything, they call you a crazy conservative. And somewhere in the middle of all that, there's a solution, and that's what my job is to find a solution to take care of the citizens of the state. So that's what I do, that's what I live to do. God bless y'all, thank you for letting me be here. I certainly appreciate all the work you do. Sheila, you do a wonderful job. Al and Dozier do fair for you. I said that I like Dozier. I had to argue with him about PBMs. And by the way, this is off the subject a little bit, but if you have a prescription drug in this state, you've got to thank Al Dozier, because in another state like Louisiana, you would probably be paying 35 to 40% more for the same drug, simply because of what they do through the Pharmaceutical Association. We appreciate it. I'm not talking about the companies now, I'm talking about the drugstores. We have a great system in Mississippi, but we're having to look at something called PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Managers, and how they affect the cost of insurance. Pharmaceuticals affect 32 to 33% of your base cost of health insurance premium is all pharmaceutical. And when you see all these ads on television, people go to the doctor, they want all these drugs because they think they're wanting drugs. If you just listen to the side effect, you wouldn't take them. But the cost an arm and a leg. And to give you a quick idea of what I'm talking about, I get severe leg cramps, and when I walk all the time and jog 5 miles a day, so sometimes I get leg cramps if I don't take my electrolytes, magnesium and so forth. And when you get one and you're talking, you can't do anything. It hurts. It's like, my wife is like having a baby. I wouldn't know. I don't think I've ever the issue becomes that if you take quinine, which I used to take, you buy 100 tablets for $1 a quart. You come a little box. So the federal government said quinine's never been tested. Now, when I was in Vietnam, when I was in the Northern Eye Corps up near the DMZ, we took quinine and malaria pills. That's what you take for malaria. Today, the government said you got to have it tested. They picked the company that tested the drug, quinine, which comes as a tree bark, actually. You know what 100 tablets of quinine costs today? Right at $300. That is asinine. Something that cost $1 4 years ago. That's the problem with the federal government intervening in our life. So I can talk all day. Those are what I'm talking about. I can't drink enough gin and tonic to cure my leg pain. Thank y'all for letting me be here. God bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chaney.